This is Eagle News Canada. I'm Anthony Sevilla, coming to you from Vancouver in the province of British Columbia, bringing you news and commentary from across the country. Here are some of the stories we'll cover today. British Columbia introduces travel restrictions limiting citizens within their provincial health regions. The province of Ontario will be introducing a paid COVID-19 leave. As Ontario struggles with the rising COVID cases, the Canadian government takes action in sending military medical personnel. A racist incident hotline has been created in British Columbia to combat recent racist activities in the province. In Honolulu, the first responders anticipate a busy summer season despite their ongoing pandemic woes. And in sports, we got updates from the NBA. Now to the stories. The province of British Columbia has introduced new travel restrictions within BC to limit non-essential travel between each health region. Mike Farnworth, Minister of Public Safety, and Dr. Bonnie Henry, BC's Provincial Health Officer, explained the new restrictions.
Failure to comply with the requirements at a road check or the direction given by a police officer may result in a $230 fine. Violating the travel order is a $575 fine. The primary goal of these road checks is to educate and deter people from traveling for non-essential reasons.
With the travel orders in place, we are all required to stay within one of our 3 provincial zones, unless it is for essential travel. And there is very good and valid reasons why many of us may have to travel, whether it's for work, whether it's for medical care, to receive a vaccine, or to support a family member in a crisis. If you are unsure, however, whether your travel would be considered essential, then you should be staying put right now. Stay within your community. While we know transmission is everywhere, we are seeing the greatest level of transmission in communities in the Lower Mainland right now. So for people in the Fraser and Vancouver coastal health regions, I'm asking you to pay particular attention. Communities, especially smaller communities with limited healthcare services, are asking for your support by staying away for now while the provincial travel orders are in place. This means for people who live in the Lower Mainland zone and may have a second home or be planning to an escape to the Sunshine Coast or Sea to Sky corridor, I am asking you to stay away right now on behalf of those communities. Leaders in these communities are telling us they are not ready for an influx of additional people in the coming weeks. So between now and the end of the May long weekend, let's give those communities, some of whom, like Whistler and Squamish, have had tremendous challenges with this virus in the last few weeks. We need to give them a break by staying away right now.
Mike Farnworth, Minister of Public Safety, relayed the details on how this would be enforced.
In this new order, effective immediately, road checks can be set up on highway corridors that connect different regional zones of the order. But you will not see road checks in downtown Vancouver or along Boundary Road. Once stopped at a road check, drivers may be asked to provide the driver's name, address, and driver's license, and any available documentation regarding the driver's name and address, for example, secondary identification that confirms driver's residential address if you've recently moved, and the purpose of driver's travel. Documentation regarding travel will not be required, and passengers in the vehicle are also not required to provide this information. If police have reasonable grounds to believe you are about to leave your regional zone or are already traveling outside of your health authority for non-essential purposes, they can direct you to stay within your region or to leave the authority at that time. I announce that we have created an order under the Emergency Program Act to prohibit non-essential travel within British Columbia until 12:01 on May 25th. That means you need to stay within your regional zone for the next several weeks. These defined regions are the combined Fraser and Vancouver Coastal Health Authority regions, the combined Northern and Interior Health Authority regions, and the Vancouver Island Health Authority. Those traveling for essential reasons, such as, but not limited to, moving to a new residence, going to work, receiving or assisting someone to receive healthcare services, and traveling for emergencies, will not be impacted by these restrictions. And in addition to the previous order, we've added 2 new reasons for essential travel. First, for the purpose of avoiding the risk of abuse or violence, and second, to expand who can visit to long-term care and assisted living facilities to include social visits, in addition to essential visitors. Our top priority right now is the health and safety of all British Columbians, and prohibiting travel outside of your community will help to limit the spread of COVID-19. At this time, more than 38% of British Columbians have had their first dose of vaccination, and we are on track to 60% by the 25th of May. Hunkering down and staying local is what we all must do right now, so we can work to a summer that looks more like the kind that we're used to.
Ontario announces paid sick leave program to help curb COVID-19 in the province. Eagle News correspondent Ashley Sakmar reports.
In response to the ongoing request for paid sick leave within the province, the Ontario government introduces a new act that will allow Ontarians to acquire as much as $200 of up to 3 days paid sick leave due to COVID-19. The announcement was given Wednesday by Monty McNaughton, Minister of Labour, Training and Skills Development.
Our government will also lead the way by introducing the COVID-19 Putting Workers First Act. Through this bill, we are the only province in Canada to introduce paid sick days specific to COVID-19. If passed, all workers will soon have access to 3 paid sick days. This is more than the 1 day available to workers in Prince Edward Island and the 2 days available to workers in Quebec. This is a game changer, and this will save lives. Across the nation, nobody else offers an end-to-end protection program. As part of our Ontario COVID-19 Worker Income Protection Benefit, employers will be reimbursed for what they pay out up to $200 a day for 3 days. Make no mistake, Ontario workers now have access to the most generous sick pay program coast to coast.
In addition to this, the province also offers to double payments of the pre-existing federal government Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit program for eligible Ontarians. Peter Bethlenfalvy, Minister of Finance and President of the Treasury Board, shares the details.
This new provincial funding would allow eligible individuals to receive a total of $1,000 per week through the Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit program if missing work because of COVID-19.
When asked whether or not the Ontario government received approval for the legislation from the COVID-19 Science Advisory Table, this is what Minister McNaughton had to say.
We certainly had lots of advice from the medical community. This is something that we've heard loud and clear.
The Ontario government received criticism for the new legislation, with many claiming that 3 days of paid sick leave is not enough. Andrea Horwath, NDP leader of the Ontario's official opposition, shared her thoughts on the matter during the Legislative Assembly of Ontario question period.
I guess my question is, where did they come up with the scheme? Did they even consult their own COVID-19 experts and advisors when they drafted up this terribly inadequate plan?
Stephen Del Duca, leader of the Ontario Liberal Party, claims that the Ford government once again failed to follow the advice of Dr. Adelstein Staney-Brown, co-chair of the Science Advisory Table. Del Duca took to Twitter saying, "Staney-Brown confirms what Ontario Liberals have been saying all along. 3 paid sick days isn't enough to protect our workers." Last week, while self-isolating after a workplace exposure to COVID-19, Premier Ford claimed that the Ontario government's paid sick leave program will be the best in the country. Del Duca again took to Twitter to share his opinions on Ford's statement. Doug Ford said his program would be the best in North America. Yukon offers 10 paid sick days. I don't understand how Ford Nation could think 3 paid sick days is enough when he himself has been in isolation for more than a week after testing negative. In Toronto, Ashley Sackmar, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
The Canadian government is deploying military medical personnel to assist Ontario as it struggles with rising COVID cases. Here's Eagle News correspondent Andre Lajoie with the report.
The government said on Monday that Ottawa has approved a request for assistance from Ontario to provide support to the province as it struggles with high rates of infection. In a statement, it said that the Canadian Armed Forces are preparing to deploy up to 3 multi-purpose medical assistant teams of nurses and medical technicians to hospitals and other facilities struggling to keep up with a spike of new infection. Such teams were deployed into the long-term care facilities in Ontario and Quebec last spring as the first wave of COVID-19 swept across the country. Reconnaissance teams are expected to hit the ground on Tuesday to start assessing the specific needs at different healthcare facilities as the federal and Ontario government iron out the final details. The government said it's prepared to deploy federal health, human resource, and funds to the redeployment of Canadian Red Cross to augment or relieve the staff within Ontario medical care facilities. It also said the Royal Canadian Air Force personnel will be flying medical personnel from Newfoundland and Labrador to Toronto to help the Ontario medical facilities. Military aircraft are also being made available to fly medical professionals from the other provinces to Ontario to help out with the pandemic, with the expectation that the first group will arrive on Tuesday from Newfoundland and Labrador. Intergovernmental Affairs Minister Dominic Leblanc said at that time that Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island had indicated that the willingness to help Canada's most populous province. A total of 4,696,211 vaccine doses have been given in the province so far. Reporting from Ottawa, Canada, this is Andre Lajoie. We live in interesting times.
British Columbia is developing a racist incident hotline in efforts to combat racist activities throughout the province. Joining us is Eagle News correspondent Kathleen Cruz with more. Hello, Kathleen.
Thank you, Anthony. The BC government is undertaking anti-racism initiatives and projects to make British Columbia safer and inclusive for everyone. The initiative is to develop a racist incident hotline in response to recent increase in racist activities throughout the province. In Vancouver alone, anti-Asian hate crimes have increased over 700% in 2020 compared to the previous year. The hotline is intended to be a multilingual service for British Columbians to report racist incidents and receive support and referrals. According to Parliament Secretary for Anti-Racism Initiatives, Rashna Singh, the hotline will not replace emergency response services. It will provide a culturally safe route for racialized British Columbians to report any racist incidents. The hotline will improve areas where people are reluctant to report incidents, which may mean the scope of racism activities are not being reported accurately. It will also allow the government to gather statistical data to fight racism incidents. As a result, BC government has invested $1.2 million in grants for more than 190 anti-racism projects such as ads, campaigns, and the new hotline. In Vancouver, Kathleen Cruz, Eagle News. We'll live in interesting times.
Kathleen, before you go, how are the vaccines going along in Vancouver?
Thank you for asking, Anthony. So the vaccinations strategies in British Columbia, not only in Vancouver, according to Dr. Bonnie Henry, she made an announcement recently that the shifts to vaccine strategy will include now high transmission communities being prioritized, wherein most people have much more hotspots for COVID-19. And currently, there is an announcement of people for 40 years old and above being vaccinated, and people over 18 years old can now book for their vaccinations. And once they have received this text or email from the government, they can go into vaccination clinics where they can get vaccinations. BC, according to reports from the BC government, BC will receive more vaccine supply, while British Columbians over the age of 30 plus can start getting vaccines such as AstraZeneca. But with the supply being given, more British Columbians can receive their vaccinations as soon as we have the supply here in the province.
Kathleen, how are Vancouverites coping with the new COVID restrictions?
Glad you asked that. Even myself, I live in a suburb, a community wherein I'm not allowed to travel at the moment because we are considered as a hotspot. So I've just been staying in my community to make people safe. How are Vancouverites coping? I am not sure. We have been in the pandemic for that quite long. I mean, people are eager to go camping. People are eager to go hiking. I know it's socially and physically safe. However, not being able to go somewhere that, these hiking spots are available to people is quite difficult. So I think, 3 more weeks, then, maybe the restrictions will ease off and people can start going outdoors again and going to communities where they wanted to travel within the BC and safely.
Thanks for the report, Kathleen. There is more news to come. You're watching Eagle News Canada. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News Canada. I'm Anthony Sevilla from Vancouver, British Columbia. Honolulu is expecting a very busy summer travel season despite the ongoing pandemic, and first responders are preparing for the influx. Joining us live is Eagle News correspondent Alfred Senas with details. Hello, Alfred.
Aloha, Anthony, and good to see you once again in good health and good spirits. So the first video we'll see is from the mayor of Honolulu, Rick Blangiardi, making a statement, followed by representatives of the Honolulu Fire Department, Coast Guard, and other participants in this recent exercise that took place in the eastern part of Oahu. Let's watch this.
I'm really pleased, I'm proud, and I'm inspired to be here today at this joint exercise with our ocean safety folks, the Coast Guard, our fire department, the police department, EMS, an incredible group of men and women who dedicate themselves to saving people's lives each and every time they put themselves at risk, great risk. So I'm also humbled to be in their presence. So just want to say that our people of our island should feel very good about the quality of men and women and the services they have, help protect them and help save their lives, which they do on a regular basis.
From a communications perspective, from a search and rescue perspective, doing these exercises are super valuable.
This exercise will improve interoperability and coordination with local and federal resources, and just to kind of sharpen our skills to improve the outcomes of these types of incidents in the future.
Now, Anthony, this is nothing new to the city and county of Honolulu, but of course, given what happened last summer, so there's a lot of all-out effort to get ready and anticipate a busy tourist season here, not just Honolulu, but all of Hawaii. Now, given that, you will see the numbers beside me, the average daily count of new cases for the island of Oahu, where I'm at right now. Now, it's been hovering in the 50s and 60s. The guidance for Tier 3 reopening, in which we're in right now, should be at 49 or lower. So there are some concerns, despite some positive signs of more visitors, businesses reopening. But the number of cases, the average case count is still a little high higher than normal. So there's an expectation on the state and local governments, especially Honolulu, to revisit the strategies that Honolulu is implementing right now to see if whether or not we stay the course with the current guidelines or roll back. So there's some anticipation that some key decisions can be made this month in preparation for summer. Anthony?
Alfred, is Honolulu easing restrictions?
So we mentioned the restrictions, and we mentioned it in other reports, particularly in April. So Honolulu has in April, Honolulu has allowed outdoor sports, but has still not allowed spectators and potlucks. We know what they are. And weddings have been allowed to be conducted with no more than 100 people, and as much as possible outdoors. Now, so there's some expectation for more easing, but given the number of cases here on this island, it's too hard to tell right now.
Thanks, Alfred. It was a showdown between Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant in Milwaukee, where two of the NBA's best forwards went on a scoring spree down the stretch. The Bucks edged the Nets 117-114 behind the Greek Freak's season-high 49 points. Here's Giannis and Durant after the game.
The way we defended, the way we keep guys in front, the way we switched, the way we rhythm on the ball, we did a great job. We got to carry this over, keep moving forward. And as I said, great game. We played them 2 days. This is over with. We got to keep getting better and learn from this game.
And I think tonight, we got to give credit to Milwaukee for just making more shots than we did. I mean, you look at it across the board, it was an even game outside of they made more shots than us. So it's one of those games you enjoy playing in, and hopefully it's a better one for us next game.
Joining us is Eagle News correspondent Tenny Samage in New York.
Good morning, Anthony. How are things in beautiful British Columbia?
It's great, Tenny. With the Bucks edging the Nets, does this make the Bucks the favorite in the East?
Not quite. But I will tell you, Anthony, I think the pressure's off with the Bucks because for the last 2 years, they've been the favorite coming out of the East, even the favorite to win the NBA title, and they haven't accomplished that. But now that they're not the favorite, I would believe that they are one of the top contending teams in the East. You can't count out the Nets, obviously, because they have those 3 superstars, plus Blake Griffin as well, if you want to count him as a superstar. And then you also have the Sixers. But there's one team also that can actually make a splash in the Eastern Conference.
Do you see another team in the East beating the Nets or the Bucks?
Well, there's another team here in New York, and things are great out in the Mecca, the world's famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Nobody expected the Knicks to be a playoff contending team. And we got to give a shout out to Coach Tom Thibodeau for making this team a playoff contending team. Julius Randle has had a phenomenal season, making his first All-Star appearance, and he is the team's leader, and he makes everybody better. And we can't forget your boy, RJ Barrett, your favorite Canadian, right? After Steve Nash. He's having a great sophomore year, and we have to give it up to the rookies, Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickley. They're doing great in their first season in the NBA.
Let's go back to Julius Randle. So you mentioned that Julius's play, does that put him in the All-NBA first team?
If I were on that committee, I would put him in the first NBA first team. But because of the position that he plays, he's a forward. Now, I believe they're not going to put him in the first team because Jason Tatum of the Celtics is having a great season. He's coming off a 60-point performance against the San Antonio Spurs. And then you also have the Greek Freak. You know, you can't count him out, despite that he's been out with an injury. He just came back from an injury recently. And Joel Embiid is having an MVP season despite being injured or taking time off due to an injury. So I believe that the committee will choose those three as first team, and Julius Randle will probably be on the second team. But I believe he should be on the first team because not only is he having a great season, he's also injury-free.
Thanks again, Tenny. That's our show for today. Join us again next week as we bring stories that matter to you. Visit our website at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'm Anthony Sevilla. We live in interesting times.